So very much welcome to Bálint Gyémánt, who is a Hungarian jazz guitar player. He's also a teacher at the Béla Bartók Conservatory in Budapest, in Hungary. He had three three albums with Veronika Harcsa and the Berlin Traumton Records. And they had a big concert tour in over 40 countries.
Yes.
And so a very big name in the jazz scene. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for coming by. So you are based in Hungary. You're actually at the moment in Budapest.
Yes.
And that's where you're working at the moment, mainly as a teacher for jazz guitar at the conservatory. Okay, so tell us a little bit, what does your daily work look like if there's no quarantine, if there's no coronavirus? What would you normally do? So do you go to a jazz club and start playing and smoke cigars and drink whiskey, or what is it that you do
Yeah,
all
that
day?
sounds very romantic, but the real case, it's absolutely not that. Not just because I don't drink alcohol at all, but also it's very important as a musician to focus on the job and focus on the different projects. And also, if you take it very seriously, you have to like make plans for more than 1.5 years now. So especially if you work with a record label, especially if it's abroad the country. So it's quite complicated. So at first we have to work on the logistic for the album and for the album release tour, and also like how to record it, how to mix it, and so on and so on. With Veronika Harcsa, I have the pleasure to work with now like almost 15 years now. We did a lot of special projects together, and like 9 albums together, but we work as a duo for like 7 years now, and we work with the fantastic German label from Berlin called the Traumton Records. And mostly like the daily routine, it's like hopefully doing some sports and to be focused mentally and also physically for the gigging and the concerts. And also like we are traveling a lot, like normally, like in this week I would be in Belgium and then to Austria, and then we have gigs in Germany, but obviously everything is cancelled now because of the situation. So normally we have super busy weekdays. And also, like as you mentioned, like teaching is an also very important part of my life. And like it's like 25%, but 75% I have the luxury of being as an active musician in every days.
Okay, so mainly you're on tour or in the studio to record?
Yes, something like that.
Okay. And so what of that is happening at the moment? You already said that the tour obviously is canceled due to the coronavirus, but I don't know, are you planning on releasing a new album anytime soon, therefore in the studio recording?
Absolutely. Like we have a very special situation with Veronika Harcsa, my colleague, because we have a group with a rhythm section from Belgium. It means that the drummer and the double bass player is two fantastic Belgian musicians. So we are kind of a mixed kind of European band with this project. So we have to do the calendar things, like everything for like half year or 1 year. And originally in this week we would have an album recording session, and we have another one hopefully in August, but it's like everything is like upside down now because of the situation. Obviously not the cultural segment isn't the biggest problem, but obviously all the active musicians, like gigging musicians, like having very serious financial problems. And also it's the question, like for me, I have to realize that no one actually knows that is going to be like 2 more months or 2 more years. Like God only knows it. And obviously, no one can be sure that when will be the situation again when actually the people want to spend any money or time for culture. So maybe we can do the recording session like 3 months later, but it's a big question that is there anybody outside who is also interested in recording new materials, new albums? Do we have the actual time and energy for culture in these times? It's a big, I really.
And are you for maybe it's different for jazz, but so I've talked to some other musicians already, who said the recordings are more to promote the tour,
Yes.
and the tour is the one where we get the revenues, where we make our living from. Is that the same thing in jazz?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like the recording and the album is super, super important, but nowadays it's like a name card. You know, it's a very expensive card that you can representing yourself, because in that way nobody is actually paying for money nowadays because of the streaming situation, which has bad and good side also, but it's a totally different topic. So yeah, the truth is that normally nowadays, as an artist, as a musician, you can get your income from actually having tours and gigs and concerts, and having the chance to perform at different cities. And now everything is cancelled. So obviously, it's a very hard situation for all of us.
Mm. And you already said you are also a teacher
Yes.
at the conservatory, and what? So you said that makes 25% around of your job, of your daily life.
Yes. Yes.
What is the situation there at the moment?
In Hungary, we have everything at the schools, like the whole system went out for the online version. So as a jazz guitar teacher and a music teacher, we are not that bad situation. We are not in a so bad situation, because actually I can do the classes on Skype, or like using any kind of electronic platform. So it's not that big deal. I think I can do the teaching kind of well. It's not a big problem, but obviously I think it's a very hard situation for the other teachers. Like music, it's a different topic that way. We are a little bit luckier than the others, I believe.
How's that? Because so earlier I already talked to a pianist
Mm-hmm.
who is doing classical piano and
Yes.
in opera singing. So she's playing the piano while the students are singing, and she said that it was very hard. So one thing for the delay, because
Yes.
they
Of course.
work together.
Of course.
And then on the other hand, also she said, well, singing, you need to hear the exact sound and to
And
improve
pitch
that.
and everything. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And how is that going on with guitar? And why is it different, or why do you think, or why do you say it's easier with guitar, or maybe even
I
jazz
believe
guitar?
it's easier because mostly we have play-alongs, we have metronomes. We don't have to focus too much in that way for playing together. To be honest, it's a very important part of the job. Like jazz music, it's about actions and interactions. It's about conversations between musicians through the music. But there are some ways we don't have the interactions now, but we can use play-alongs. There are some materials what we can and use, and they are kind of good and inspiring also for the students. And also we have some special techniques with the metronome, how we can actually manage the classes, or we can manage to have the lessons. But obviously it's not ideal. It's not the best way, but I would say we can survive it like this for like a few months. It's gonna be
Hmm.
okay.
So it's okay to learn the basics, but as you already said, since jazz really lives from this conversation between musicians, doesn't that mean that you all have to be in one place and to
Absolutely.
be in one room and really communicate?
Yeah, like the conversation is the main idea of jazz, like to being in the present. It's the main idea, and obviously we have a little delay in our conversation, but it's okay. We can do it like this, but obviously you cannot do it like this all the time. We had like I'm not sure, like 7 months or 6 months from the year now, so we managed to do a lot of things in the school, but now I'm focusing for different adventures with the students, obviously, because we must have to do it, like we must have to do it like this because we have no other chance.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's not ideal.
And for a live musician, what now we have in Europe very different ways of social security for artists. France is quite different than Germany, which is quite different than other member states. Could you shortly explain how it works in Hungary?
Excuse me, what do you mean exactly? Like
The social securities, for example, in Germany we have a system in which is called Künstlersozialkasse, which means that
okay.
every musician pays part of their wages into this security um, fund, so that where only artists can pay into, and that then covers. And then the state pays half of the aid, and the half comes from the artists. So normally, when you are employed, you pay half of your what is it, pension fund, as well as social security, all of that. Half of this is paid by the employee, and half of it is paid by the
I see.
employer. And then for artists, it's half is paid by the artist and half is paid by the state. And yeah.
I think in Hungary it's a very special situation because you have the insurances, the health insurances. It's not so much money. I would say it's around 20 euros or something like that. So it's not a big deal at all. But all the other problems are not solved that easy. I'm not pretty sure about the system in Hungary because I have no idea how is it in English, but I'm like employee of the government. That way, that not the government, but I'm not sure about the term in English. But I'm working for a Hungarian music school, if you know what I mean. Not it means
Mhm.
that like like the big academy of music is my main boss. If I'm right, but I think we don't have any big problems with the health care system, with the health insurance. I mean, but that's it. That's it. It's not the time to focus for the late years or the I don't know how to explain it, but it's a very hard situation that way also.
For the pension, you mean? For
Yes,
after? Okay.
yes, totally.
Okay. And but you are employed by the music school because you're a teacher there. But if you would not
Yes.
be a teacher, or your colleagues who only go on tour and who only work for live music, do they have any kind of securities, insurances, or pension funds?
Not
So
at all.
they
Not at all.
okay.
No.
No.
Absolutely nothing. So it means that the only for those artists who are working only as gigging musicians, they don't have any incomes now, like totally nothing. So it's a big problem. I can see it on social media that there are a lot of people having super hard times, and no one knows exactly what would be the best way to help them. honestly, I'm doing this interview not just because of myself, but hopefully I can be the voice for a lot of musicians who are totally voiceless in this situation. Like hopefully I can represent them who has no income at all, who don't have a teaching job, and only working as gigging musicians. And I think it's super hard times for everyone who is in the not just the music business, but obviously also for the theaters, especially the small theaters without having any helps from the government. So yeah, it's super hard times, I believe.
Basically, what you're saying is that people who are in Hungary right now, artists in Hungary, they do not get paid. They do not have any securities from previous jobs, and so basically, if they
No,
didn't save any money, which probably a lot of artists couldn't do because they're not paid very bigly,
exactly.
they're at the moment in a situation with no income, no help. Is there anything done by the state to support businesses, to support small and medium enterprise or anything like that for artists?
No, I don't think so. Like, no, I don't know anything about like this, like any special helps, and obviously, like these are very hard times for everybody, not just for musicians, not just for the music business, not just for theater, but it's super hard. Anyone except who is selling medicines or food, like obviously. It's very hard, and I'm afraid like culture and music, it's not the first thing what comes up when we are talking about very hard times. You know what I mean, that obviously I'm afraid that the government's going to save first the banks or the car business, or God only knows. There are a lot of very important businesses, and I'm afraid like culture and music, it's very at the end of the line, and hopefully this kind of brainstorms going to help or open some eyes for this very hard situation for the musicians. And also, you know, there are a lot of memes at the social media that if you are in quarantine, what are you doing?
Yep.
You are watching movies or enjoying music or books or anything like that. Like sometimes we forget how important all the cultural things in our life. Not just because like in music and in culture we have our roots. Like also as a I obviously I'm a Hungarian musician, but I feel like a European musician. For me, it's like I believe that the music what I'm working on and the music I'm playing, it's European music, and it's hopefully it's a part of the jazz community. Hopefully, it's part of the European culture, musical culture, and I believe that people is going to realize how important is the culture for everyone. Also for not just for having fun, but for surviving in very hard times.
I mean, obviously, your music can be probably best described as being European if you were touring with a band consisting of German, Belgium, Hungary members. So that's basically the whole idea of Europe, to bring people together and to enjoy
Exactly.
diversity there, right? Um, the issue, and I love that you said that that people are at the moment really much in need of culture, books, music, videos, and movies. And I think that's also why it's important to make that point right now, to show people that culture needs support as well. And I think one thing that we should also think of is when we talk about these measures that are taken for the COVID crisis right now, social distancing and so on. I mean, obviously, at the moment they're very hard, and probably they'll get loosened a little bit in the future, so that everyday life is more easy to go and acceptable, and that some businesses can reopen again. For example, if you have a small boutique, a small shop, then 2 or 3 or 4 people can maybe join in there, and a businesswoman or a businessman can open again, which we all hope for as soon as possible.
Yes.
But the question is, how long will culture stop happening? Because you can't have a concert with 3 or 4 or 5 people.
Yes.
Concerts and all cultural activities only make sense when you have a lot of people in place.
Yes, and even if we say, or the government say that we can have the concerts, when will you have the feeling that, oh, I really want to go? I really want to go to be with a lot of people, and I can feel safe now. And if someone is sneezing behind me, it's no problem anymore, because I believe that we are totally safe now. So it's a big question, and it can be like years where when we can have this safety feeling again.
Yeah, and so I'm afraid that the creative scene and the live concert and everything like this was closed first, which is needed, of course, but also needs to be closed as long or the longest from all, which means that the situation that you're enduring right now will probably take way longer than other sectors of the economy will take. And that is something that we need to think of right now, and that's also why we try to make this campaign right now and have interviews like these to show the people that when maybe next month they're out again and they're out of quarantine, they still remember, wait a second, there are some people who cannot do their job and what they love because it's still too dangerous, and they are missing out on revenues, and they're missing out on money, and their existence is in danger.
Exactly. And also they are professionals. Like it's also I believe it's a problem that many people likes to think about musicians or like people who are working in this business, that it's kind of romantic, like having coffee at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and like having fun all the time. But it's totally different. I also I went to the Academy of Music for 6 years. I mean, I spent 6 years at the Academy of Music. I also won a scholarship to Oslo. I lived in Norway. So I really, I can say I'm a professional. So it's not just fun. It's not just a very serious hobby, but this is my life. This is my job. I believe that this is what I have to do. And as just as you said, it's a big problem, like to have the people to face this problem and realize that how important is the cultural business, and also like we have a lot of people also like me who are having super hard times because of the virus situation.
Yeah, we hope to improve it. We have today we have a meeting of the cultural ministers this week, and what we are proposing with our petition and the letter that you also signed is not like it's part critique but also part support. I think,
Yes.
I don't want to go to the ministers and tell them everything you do is wrong, because it's not. And in talks with German artists, I've also seen very positive examples where we see, okay, they're doing a good job, and it's a crisis and it's hard to do everything. but to really support them in what they're doing, the cultural ministers, to support the cultural sector, and just to make sure that everybody knows about this problem, and that everybody knows what that implies, that we don't have songs, that we don't have books, that we don't have movies, and that we don't have something to feel or to help us feel in this times of crisis, which is also very needed, I think. So thank you very much for joining us in this, joining me in this talk. That's very interesting to talk to you and to hear from Hungary, to hear from a jazz guitarist, how the life is going there.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be a part of this whole thing. And if I can do anything, or if I can help anything, just let me know. And hopefully I will have the chance to do something.
Well, I'll hopefully I have the chance to help you as well, and to improve. We're really trying to improve your situation everywhere in Europe, in Hungary especially as well. Thank you very much, Bálint, for your time, for taking your time.
Thank you.
And have a great time. And I in Germany we say I press my thumbs.
Yes.
That everything goes well for you and your colleagues. That times will be better, and that we'll find solutions to help you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
And happy Easter.
Happy Easter for you too. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.